At this time, we will call the August 27th, 2026 Walton County Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting to order. Please rise while we have our invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity to live in this great nation and this great county. Please guide us and watch over us here tonight to do what's best for our county and our citizens. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Are there any announcements that need to be made? Hayward, anybody?
The only announcements I've got for we do have a couple starting over to bring the board up to speed. We do have a couple more appeals. So, liking what y'all are doing. So one is the Balin. This one, you may recall, this is Balin versus Goodman / Zoning Board of Adjustment. That was the one where they had representations. Mr. Tatum represented the applicant. Mr. Davis represented the neighbor, and it involved a shed and a hot tub that were both inside the setback. So that one's been appealed by Mr. Davis. And then we have one from Hunter Bell. What's your client's name, Hunter? Yeah, Jane Johnson. You may recall that one. That was the one where she had the deck in the rear of her home, and she was hoping to enclose that, and you denied that variance. So, and then as a reminder, we have the Douglas appeal that's been out there for some time. That one is just kind of moving through the system, and the Copeland, which that one involved Mr. Curry's property. That was the one that granted the variance on that. So right now you have 4 active appeals in the process. So just
Thank you very much. I guess there's 3 items that are, yeah, so
Number 5 also.
Branch Towers is coming off. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Look, we got some more people coming. Thank you.
Or you don't have to. I don't get
No, I mean, I'm still getting used to being up here at the chairman's spot, so I want to thank everybody for being here tonight, especially our county people and Miss Kelly and everybody else that's reviewing these projects. And I guess, do we need to swear in the people in the audience? If there's anybody in the audience this evening that would like to speak on behalf or against any of these projects, please rise so you can be sworn in.
if you all raise your right hand. Do you all swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, thank you.
Yeah, there's several items on the agenda that we need to move or remove. The Doty variance request to remove, do we need to take action on that, Hayward?
If the applicant, is the applicant requesting removal or the county or both? The applicant has requested removal, yeah, then there's no action.
Okay, so if anybody's here tonight for item number 1, the Doty variance, we will not be hearing that. Item number 2, St. Francis Drive LLC variance, request to table.
Is that to table and then bring it back on a date certain, or just to table it?
They re-advertise when they table it, do they not?
Okay, so yeah, they'll, I mean, as Charlie pointed out, then they'd need to re-advertise that particular one. So yeah, on that one, the board should take action to table it.
I'll make a motion to table the 23 St. Francis Drive LLC variance.
I'll second that motion.
Favor?
Aye.
All right, the Dodds appeal, request to continue to the September 24th, 2026 meeting.
I'll move to continue the Dodds appeal to the September 24th, 2026 ZBA meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Favor?
Aye.
It was due to notice.
Is anybody here for the Dodds appeal? Okay. Let's go ahead and do the Branch Towers LLC variance request to approve by final order, but
It didn't say to what meeting they wanted to continue it. They just said to be continued to ZBA meeting on the request.
is there anybody here for Branch Towers 3 LLC?
Item number 5.
County,
October.
so do we want to go
October.
ahead and set it for the October ZBA meeting?
What's the October date?
What's the October date? The 22nd. I make a motion to continue the Branch Tower 3 LLC variance to the October 22nd meeting.
I'll second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So that brings us to the Glaze Blackwell variance. This is a rehearing and consideration of new evidence for final approval. And Jesus, do you have some new information for us on this one? Just to bring everybody up to speed, this was the project that had the forestry setback that was affecting the buildable area. And we were under the impression that the subdivision had been platted prior to that language being added to the land development code and affecting the buildable depth of the lot. And so we wanted to open that back up for members of the ZBA to hear a little bit more about how that lot was platted and if that forestry setback really did in fact apply to this lot. So I turn it back over to you.
All right, this is a Glazed Blackwell variance, rehearing and consideration of new evidence for final approval. Project number VAR 26-000027 is being reviewed by myself. This is a rehearing request for a previously denied variance application submitted by Shelley Glaze to reduce the rear setback from 15 to 5 feet on 0.2 plus or minus acres with a future land use of residential in a zoning category of residential preservation. The property is located in District 4 at 210 Tradewinds Drive and is identified by the parcel ID in the staff report. May I also enter the public comments in addition to the staff report into the record?
So entered. Jeff?
Found it. Okay. So entered.
So the new evidence that has been found as of August 7th, 2001, a minor replat or a lot split application was approved by the planning department, creating this parcel and recording it as a legal lot. Therefore, that being said, this is not part of the Sea Dunes platted subdivision. Questions for me?
Do we have that new document that I think we had last time? Do we still have a copy of it? The plat?
Can you go through the diagrams that I see in our folder seem to show a lot split taking place in 2021? And I guess I'm curious as to the relevance of that. Does that mean that the lot was not part of the Sea Dune subdivision originally?
That's correct. So if, on the original Sea Dunes platted subdivision, this lot is recorded as not part of the subdivision, not platted, is what the platted Sea Dunes subdivision states, which then, if you look on your staff report on July 31st of 2001, that is when the minor replat or lot split was approved for that portion that is not part of the Sea Dune subdivision. And that, at that moment in time, that's when those parcels became legal lots of record.
That's 2001, correct? Not 2021?
2001, that's correct.
Do you know when the forestry setback was added to the land development code?
Yes, give me a second. That was adopted in December 11th, 2018.
Okay, so when that lot split application was approved in 2001, that language was still not a part of the land development code, and they could not have known to put that on any of the documents that created the lot. So I think that it creates a very similar challenge that the original plat, whether this was part of the original plat for the subdivision or not, that now that setback's being applied to a lot that's been created based on certain criteria, and then that criteria changed in 2018.
I would like to clarify something, that the language that you're referring to is from the comprehensive plan and not the land development code.
We don't even have the authority to grant a variance to the forestry setback, only to the setback from the forestry setback, correct?
That's correct.
And how deep was the forestry setback?
10 feet.
So what they were asking for was some relief from a 15-foot setback from that 10-foot buffer zone, which would have created a 25-foot rear setback.
Correct.
To have a 5-foot setback from that 10-foot buffer, so they would have a 15-foot setback like everybody else in the neighborhood.
Correct. The way I like to think of it is 25 feet overall. Their request is to reduce that to 15.
Okay.
10 for the state forestry and 5 for the land development code.
So if we were writing out whatever motion it would be, the better approach would be what, to put from 25 to 15?
Well, I think the rear setback should be changed from 15 to 5. That's the only thing we would have the authority
Yeah.
to grant.
So just
And
write it.
and we can make it clear that
Yeah.
the variance does not apply to the
Comprehensive plan.
10-foot
Right.
forestry setback.
Yeah. So it was added to the comprehensive plan in 2018.
Adopted, yes, that's in Exhibit F. Yep.
Does anybody else have any more questions on this one? There's a site plan in here of, it was a pool and an accessory dwelling unit. A majority of the homes in the neighborhood have already built to the
Yeah.
setback because they predate 2018 language.
Do we need to re-enter a lot of the old evidence and testimony?
I think since we're just reopening, or redoing,
No, that evidence is still, this is a rehearing, so that would have already been in part of the record.
Got it.
So if there's new evidence or testimony, that you'd want to hear that tonight.
I think Bob and Paul weren't here.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody wants to give them a primer, or if they have questions, they can ask questions.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes, board. Okay. I would like to point out that since Jesus's staff report was released, and something I did fail to mention to him, is that we were made aware of a settlement agreement in 2018, and that's how this buffer came into effect. It was a settlement agreement, and there were a lot of terms within the settlement agreement, but it clearly stated that the 10-foot forestry buffer would be in addition to the buffer, so the setback couldn't, and the buffer could not overlap.
Right.
Who was the settlement agreement between?
It was with Walton County and South Walton Community Council.
Settlement confidential, or is it public record?
It's public record. I have it on my desk, and I probably should have brought you all a copy of it, but it was recorded in public records in 2018.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody have any more questions for Jesus? Is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak in favor of or against this variance request? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Shelley Glaze. I think that last bit that they were just talking about kind of threw me. Can you maybe explain what that means to me before I ask
Sure.
the question?
So it means that the buffer and the setback are not, they can't overlap each other. So you wouldn't apply the setback to the rear property line, and the 10-foot buffer would
So
exist.
really the
in-
25 feet
it
is where,
creates the 25 feet.
okay.
And so I think that anytime you have something like that that happens after all these lots are platted and not considered in the creation of the subdivision or the depth of the lots, that creates an additional hardship. So that was one of the reasons that we chose to rehear this,
Okay. Okay.
that lot and the language that created the forestry buffer, you know, it happened before that was applied to this lot. And so that's why everybody else has built closer to the back property line.
And that would make sense because it's hard to find information. And when, I think it was kind of brought up at the end of the last meeting that said, like, ignorance is not, a defense. And I agree it's not. But I just think, like, how would any reasonable person really know this? It's not, it wasn't on our topo, it wasn't on our survey. I mean, we saw plans. I called the architecture company. They weren't aware of any setbacks. So there wasn't anything that it was probably, if I wouldn't have even asked questions, maybe this wouldn't have even come to light. But it's not something that is, it's not transparent. And apparently, I mean, and I showed you that aerial that shows that there is a big 3,000-foot house that was built 10 feet off of the same forestry this year. It was just finished in March of this year. So anyways, that's I appreciate you guys rehearing this and listening to the additional.
Okay.
Thank you for your consideration.
Wait, is that what's next?
Is there anybody else that wants to speak on this one? Okay, motion to close public discussion.
Motion to close the public discussion.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
We have a motion.
Motion to approve the Glaze Blackwell variance to reduce the rear setback from 15 feet to 5 feet. Yep.
We have a second. Thank you. Discussion. Charlie?
I think it gives them an effective backyard that 99% of all the residents of Walton County already have. I mean, like, it's basically, it doesn't give them a special privilege. It just kind of removes a existing barrier for them. I think when you, like you said, make new rules on lots that are all already existing, it is a hardship for those lots specifically to try to conform.
Well said. Paul?
I agree. I believe it stays in conformity with the other houses that are already there. And none of the rest of them were like that. And like she said, it was hard to find the evidence of where this was.
I think, I was gonna add something. Also, not being in the land development code, only being in the comprehensive plan makes it a lot more difficult to find and to realize. Because I think more people go to the land development code than they do the comprehensive plan to look for oddities and things.
That's a great point. Bob?
The one question I have in my head anyway is this going to any way negatively affect the agreement between the community or Walton Community or South Walton Community Council and the county? Is this going to open up a can of worms at this point in time?
It doesn't sound like it. I'd have to look at the settlement, but it sounded as though staff had said that the settlement agreement required that they put that 10-foot buffer in the comp plan, which would prevent boards like this from being able to modify that 10-foot. So, I mean, it would sound like that's in compliance because all this board is modifying is the additional 15 feet that's added on to that 10-foot buffer.
That's right.
Well, I agree with everyone else. I mean, I think I've made my feelings about this case known a few hearings in a row now. I think it's consistent with the other homes. I think that when it comes to these matters, a citizen is only responsible for those things of which they have notice and the opportunity to conform to. And here that it took us to rehearing and everything to get there, so be it. But I think it's the equitable result, and so I will, since I made the motion, I'll definitely be voting in favor of it.
Chris?
I got nothing else to add.
I don't want to diminish the importance of the forestry buffer. I know why it was put in. I think it's an important thing to have. It's the application of it after the fact. These lots aren't eligible for, say, the shallow lot of record provision that you would have on a bayshore protection zone or the coastal dune lake protection zone, where a shallow lot would allow you to reduce the setback from the bay or from the lake. So they've added this additional 10 feet to these lots that are of a set depth and created shallower lots that are just not as usable and functional. And so in that regard, I do think it is a hardship. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you got your variance.
Number 6.
All right. The Spurker variance, project number VAR 2634. Ayanna is reviewing that tonight. Come on up.
First, the people or the county?
Typically, we let the other people present first.
We always have. I don't know if you want to.
Sorry.
But I got,
Let them speak first, and I'll
Okay.
bring you up second. Thanks.
we could change it, but
All right.
I think actually the code says it's supposed to be
the code says that too.
processed.
Presenting first, then county.
Right.
Thank you. All right. Tell us about yourself.
Hello, my name is Cristiano Silva. I am representing Ms. Stephanie Spurker in this variance application. We found out that after the swimming pool was built in the backyard, it was a 1.5 foot and an encroachment of the 15-foot setback. And then I got in touch with the county, and this is why we're here trying to apply for this variance, because it would be a lot of hardship to try to move the whole swimming pool. And the fact that there is behind on her backyard, behind the pool is a retention pond. It's not going to affect any neighbors, or there's no streets, no sidewalks or anything that nature. This is we are here applying to try to get this variance to keep the swimming pool in the same spot.
Why was it not discovered till after construction?
Because I found out, I just assumed the permitting position in the company. I was doing finance before, and now I'm still learning about this. And when we requested the homeowner to get the as-built survey, that was found out on the as-built survey. The project manager didn't catch that during construction. And I asked another designer, because the designer that designed this pool, he no longer work for us anymore. So we have all the backups of the files. And then I asked my senior designer to open the file, and we found out that when he was doing the survey overlay, building the house on top of the survey, he in the computer screen was like a couple of millimeters off. It was not perfectly, he didn't align perfectly with the house, and then a couple millimeters in a computer screen. In real life, we ended up moving the whole project 1.5 feet inside of the side
When
back.
they're getting ready to build the pool, do they come out and flag the corners and pull a string and give the guys in the field a
Usually, yes.
visual?
Usually they do. They have put all the strings around and where the pool is gonna be built. And I don't know for which reason that they didn't catch that it was getting a little bit inside of the setback.
I have a theory, but it has more to do with Pythagorean theory and the slope of the lot in the back. That if you pulled a tape measure uphill, you would get to 15 feet, whereas the
could.
survey is looking at it as a
Two-dimension,
planar
yeah.
surface.
Yeah.
Well,
It looks like based on the pictures, the pool's complete.
Yeah.
yeah, so this survey was dated June 1st. I mean, it just happened.
What would be the cost if you had to remedy the issue and weren't granted a variance?
I feel like we would have to like demo the pool, take the deck off, everything, and move the pool back 18 inches back.
Okay.
We wouldn't be able to just like demo a side of the pool a little bit. We would damage the whole shell, and we would have to like redo the whole thing, demo everything, and start from scratch.
What type of pool is it?
It's a gunite. It's a gunite
Gunite?
pool, in-ground gunite pool.
And is the 1.5 encroachment run the length of the pool?
No, it's just one little corner on a side because the pool is a free form, almost like an A8 shape, the number 8, and there's just a little bit of the corner that.
Can you point to that corner on this picture?
Oh yes.
There's a survey that shows like
So,
the line. It's like a
Something
little-
that's interesting to me is that the survey does not match if you look at the shape of the pavers that are surrounding the pool, survey does not accurately depict the conditions that are on the site. So it's hard to say if the survey is even accurate. And so they've ordered the survey, they've presented this survey to the county, and they're having to get a variance based on the encroachment on the survey, but the survey doesn't accurately show all of the pavers that are, creating the pool deck. See how that's squared off across the back, and there's these planted areas? That's not on the survey. So something's,
It's, the survey shows pavers that conform to the shape of the pool, not this angular depiction.
green thing right there.
Well, the green thing is just turf. That's just turf.
well, yeah, go ahead, ask him.
So it's just that that one sort of
The little curve.
that
yeah.
curve on that side. And so you said before you had to demo the pool, but it seems to me like you could just redo that curve, make it not so curvy.
When I talked to the inspector who did the final inspector and said that, I was like, how can you fix this? He said, this is not going to pass final inspection because you got in a little bit inside of the setback.
Yeah.
So he said there's only two ways to fix this: demo the pool and put it again, or apply for a variance.
But if you reconstruct the pool, just that one portion, that satisfies the.
In a gunite pool be
We
fused?
never did this before.
Never
I don't know
fused
how,
one? Like,
yeah,
like if
we
you had
never
a
had
crack
to
in your
do that.
gunite
No.
pool, could you like fuse one part back to the other? You have to
No,
re-
a crack I think will be different, but to like pretty much
fill in
cut
a
that
portion.
little and
I have a gunite pool. It's a
Mhm.
small one. And I have a pool contractor that is, we're in initial planning to make it bigger.
mhm.
You can extend and you can shrink a gunite pool.
Okay.
At least my contractor can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we never did that before, and one of the advice that the inspector gave me was to apply for the variance. So I feel like if we need to consider that, we have to check with the engineer and see how we're going to do that, and see if it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's still extremely cost prohibitive to cut 18 inches out of the pool and scab it back together, not to mention disruptive to all the neighbors and wasteful to all of the other pavers and,
In the gunite company, they have a minimum. They're not going to go there, and charge just that little piece that we're going to have to redo the wall. That's going to cost too.
well, I still question the survey. At this point, I think coming to get a variance was probably the right choice for you guys, rather than waiting and getting a second opinion on the survey. So interested to hear from the county. If you want to take a seat, call you back up for the last word.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ayanna?
Good evening. So this is the Spurker variance and a request to approve by final order, project number VAR 26000034. This is a variance application submitted by New Way Pools LLC on behalf of Stephanie Spurker, requesting a variance for a 1.5-foot encroachment into the 15-foot rear setback, the 15-foot rear setback on 0.189 plus or minus acres, with a future land use of mixed use and a zoning category of coastal center. The property is in District 4 at 40 Red Bay Court and is identified by the parcel number in your staff report. May I enter the staff report and the letter of support from the HOA into the record? So, as we've already discussed, there's an existing pool that's encroaching the setback. The permit was issued April 27th, 2026, and as I mentioned in the staff report, per the plat, there's a 25-foot drainage easement abutting the property to the northeast, and you can see that in the plat, in the attachments of the staff report. So, do you have any questions or concerns?
What was the lot number on the plat?
147. It should be the last page of Exhibit G.
Got it. So that's the drainage easement is the space to the north east side of the lot there, and then there's a big common area behind the lot.
Correct.
Is that common area also stormwater management?
I believe so.
Do you have any more questions for Ayanna?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anybody in the audience tonight that would like to speak for or against this variance request? Did you see the letter from the HOA? Was that in support or against? Okay, great. All right, Mr. Silva, come on back up. Last word.
Not at this moment.
Okay. Motion to close public discussion.
Motion to close public discussion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, have a seat. We're gonna consider this.
I make a motion to approve the variance for the affected area only on the survey and attach the survey.
Second,
I'll second that motion.
discussion. Paul?
I think it's incredibly minimal, the amount that it is for the amount of destruction that it would take to do it and all the stuff you'd just be throwing away and garbage of everything. It's just a very small amounts of disruption. The HOA is in support. There's nobody against it. And there's a drainage ditch behind it anyway. I mean, like there's a lot of free space back there and a lot of place for water to go.
Paul?
I agree with Charlie. I think, and I think
Turn your microphone.
So this is in Driftwood, which is a sticking point for a lot of people in this county. I'm just throwing that out there. Flooding and the retention. I think, like I said, I understand the 1.5 foot. I get it, but I don't.
Turn your microphone.
Not close enough.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, it's on.
Yeah, I just gotta get closer.
Okay, sorry. I just see, it seems that we see a lot of these come in after the fact, that they're 1.5 foot over or a little bit, so I'm just a little concerned. I'm not gonna sit there and argue with the 1.5 foot, but I think it's something that has to be addressed at some point in time. Well,
Let me ask you this. I think they still have to meet all the other criteria of the land development code, including the stormwater management, to get that pool permitted.
I don't know.
We could make it conditional on verifying the impervious surface area and having that.
I'd be more comfortable with that. Like I said, I don't want to see them have to tear up the pool, but at the same time, I also know that this is something that it seems like we deal with a lot. And I know that a lot of times the conversation turns to that impervious. I mean, we had a house that they were building, and if it wasn't for field mice or something like that, we'd be having a little bit of a problem.
I agree with the others so far.
Chris?
I just, it's another case, in my opinion, where there just needs to be greater supervision at the job site. I mean, we see this repeatedly, and I don't understand why companies don't, have supervision out there and allow their subordinate, field workers make mistakes. It's just unfortunate, and it's something I think needs to be corrected, because we do get these cases.
No, we closed public discussion. I think that the amount of space that they're into the setback is probably less than 2 square feet. So the impact is extremely minimal, and I can't imagine that it was done maliciously or intentionally. And so I think in our capacity, we're trying to prevent people from having to tear out in instances where there is an honest mistake that was made. And I'm also calling into question that it could be that the survey that they obtained may not be 100% accurate. But, you know, I don't disagree with what you're saying. We see the pools, especially more so than the foundation of the houses, be into the setbacks. And, you know, it's becoming a little bit of an epidemic, and I don't think this is the house to make an example of, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I wasn't saying it was done deliberately at all. I just think there needs to be greater supervision in the field. And that's really the crux of my comment.
Jeff, would you like me to amend the motion to include the ISR?
So I think that the county is required to ensure that what was built was calculated in the documents, and so it may be sort of redundant that they still have to meet all of the criteria of the stormwater. So I don't know if that's necessary. All right. Well, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right. Mr. Silver, you got your variance. You're free to go. Yes, sir. All right. Next up is the Kash variance. The AR 2635. Is there somebody here for the Kash? All right, come on up. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Beverly Plangley, and I'm a broker associate with Berkshire Hathaway, 38.
Were you sworn in?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, the variance we're asking for tonight is, it concerns an existing swimming pool at 2186 County Highway 83, Santa Rosa. The existing pool is approximately 10 feet from the rear property line, where a 15-foot setback is noted on the recorded plat. The pool's been in existence for more than 20 years. This has been a pretty exhausting process for us in trying to go back and reconstruct this, what happened to where and whatever. We made an effort last night. We've had some generous help from your staff here, and I appreciate them very much in trying to even retrace what the requirements were, what the pool contractor, who I have not been able to even, they have no records. It took about 2 or 3 months to find a person that answered the phone there. I've never spoken with the pool company itself. So to go back and try to reconstruct how this happened, I can't speak to that. I can certainly say it wasn't delivered on the owner's part, so the property is transferred a couple of times. 2 times we did do our due diligence, or well, each time, in that we did ask for open permits, things of that nature, and they came back clear from the county. Yeah, it actually, so originated, my efforts originated to just close an open pool permit that ultimately found itself to the Planning Commission, because one staff member that I did locate with the pool company just sent it in and found a survey, which I haven't been able to even document, and certainly can't. We were just trying to document actually whether a survey was required at the time this pool was approved, or what the standards were, or what he should have, could have done. But that's just been impossible. The county did come back to us after doing some work for us to say their records don't go back more than 10 years, and we've been trying to reconstruct this for 23. So so all we can just say is that it was not intentional. We do have a letter of endorsement from the HOA There are a couple of things I can speak to as far as age of permit history, the difficulty in reconstructing a 20-year-old record. And we did have some prior efforts to make sure we were buying and selling something that didn't have this issue. And we didn't get the right information back initially on that. I don't know whose fault that was, but we're here today to try to clear that up with this owner.
Say it has changed hands 4 times since the pool was constructed?
I think it's 2 or 3 times. Yeah, 2, 3, 4 times.
And is there a closing that's being held up by this?
There were a couple of closings held up. There was some originally feeling that it was they were down to the wire. There's a financial situation there, and we thought we were going to close a pool permit. I knew the process for that, so that's where the ball really started.
So that contract is still.
That was not. No, it's not. It's not pending. That he closed it with a financial consideration on the part of that owner.
Got it.
So it does present a problem. I mean, we can almost close a property with an encroachment because no one's raised an issue, but we can't close a property with an outstanding open pool permit. So it's made this stale. I attempted to plead under the statute that an old permit can be closed, but they cited a safety issue because it was a pool. So it just rocked on for a while until I'm here before you tonight to help you understand how, it's a big matter and it's a small matter.
Right. Were there any other closings where the open permit was discovered or where it was stated by the county that it was not discovered?
Yes, sir. There was 2 times.
So
we just now closed it. Again, we thought it had been handled by because there was some initial things done in the county, and we thought that the issue of closing the permit had happened. And so we did our due diligence, went to closing, pulled it again, and we got a clear to close, no open permits. We're at the closing table, the agent calls, just doing her due diligence, and finds that it's different than what was reported. So we're here today to see if we can help these people out and just close this permit and see what we can do to clear this up. I've got a letter here I think we put into record from Ellen Chastain, which I think she made some excellent points of, I don't know if anyone's familiar with that little Palmyra area there, but it's a very tight neighborhood. And we were saying we had to do this or take this pool out. It's been in existence for 23 years. But they're very tight sideline setbacks as well. Access is a secondary road back there. And even to imagine getting that back would be tremendously disruptive to the neighborhood.
And you said the pool is built in 0405?
I think the pool permit goes back to 2004.
So we're about to have the 5th sale of this house since then.
But she makes they're longstanding and characteristic of that neighborhood, and they all look consistent. It's I don't know quite what happened because we can't reconstruct 23 years of what happened here.
It said in like in your email to the planning department, it said, I note again that I have records in my file from April 2020 where the building office reported and attested by employee's signature that there were no open permits. You have that document?
I have it here. I've got a lot of documents, so if you'll bear with me just a minute, I'll find that. Remember the young lady's name? First name was Amber.
McDonald.
There it goes, I think. Sorry, guys. Hold on just a minute. I had my hand on it just a minute ago. Here it is. Would you like to see it?
Yeah, can you hand that to Hayward?
Is this the only one?
I think I have.
All right, and we're allowed to have this because we'll make it part of the record? Okay.
Yesterday. I thought we submitted it with the application, actually.
We'll just mark this as Applicant's Exhibit A.
put my hands on the second one. That being where it began, I didn't pay enough attention to the second one. It was kind of a last-minute thing. But there was another one. Give me just a second, I'll find it for you.
Interesting. Send that down the line.
I was gonna say, is there any way to afford that property?
Most of our communication, we didn't lean heavily on that because we didn't want to appear that we thought anyone was at fault here. I think it's just a series of unfortunate circumstances. It's a permit history. I have to get back there and dig in those papers. You may not want to wait for me to do that. I apologize. But there was another one.
How about we let the county come up and present their information, and we'll give you the last word.
Thank you.
So several of those documents that the applicant's referring to, she did send me via email prior to this meeting, so I can make sure that's added to the record also.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's see here, where are we? So this is the Kash Variance, item number 7, a request to approve by final order. Project number VAR 26000035. This is a variance application submitted by Beverly Plangley on behalf of Latitude 30 Holdings, LLC, requesting a variance for a 5-foot encroachment into the rear setback on 0.5 plus or minus acres with a future land use of mixed use, excuse the typo, and a zoning category of village mixed use. The property is in District 5 at 2186 South County Highway 83 and is identified by the parcel number in your staff report. May I enter a letter of opposition into the record? May I enter the staff report into the record? And may I also enter the package that the applicant provided in front of you today into the record?
Yes, please. Thank you. So I do want to ask you a question. The letter of opposition from Tommy and Sue Taylor. They own in the Mirasol townhomes adjacent to Palmyra Villas, and their concern is regarding stormwater. And they were told that the 15-foot setback was going to be used for a stormwater ditch. And it appears that all of the units have built into that 15-foot area with some sort of a pool deck. And so I'm curious if you know if this neighborhood has a stormwater plan, neighborhood stormwater plan that's specific to Palmyra Villas, or if they are required to have individual stormwater plans per lot.
So that is something that I failed to look for. Given that this was platted in 2002, August of 2002, it probably did have a stormwater plan available, but I did not have that information here tonight.
Because my concern would be that they did, in fact, regardless of the encroachment of the pool into the setback, but if everybody paved the 15-foot drainage easement for the neighborhood and made it part of their pool deck, then there is zero stormwater retention for the neighborhood.
That would be correct.
That would be a bigger issue. And it looks like they have plenty of space to add an exfiltration system under the driveway, but I don't know if we can vote on this tonight without that information. Because I think it would be a huge problem to approve something that didn't address the stormwater issue that was raised.
It'd be just there. It sounds like they need to address stormwater issues for a large number, multiple lots, not just this one.
Well, I mean, this is the one that's before us.
No, I'm asking, I guess what I'm thinking is more so if we say this project and make some determination that requires some sort of stormwater thing, does that resolve the issue, or are we just disadvantaging the one that happened to show up before us and everyone else gets to do whatever they're doing?
And if I may interject, that is definitely a question that I had in my research because as you can see in some of the images that were provided, for example, Exhibit H2, there are multiple pools across that subdivision that are encroaching the setback. So according to emails from staff that are also presented in the staff report and my research, I could not find any past variance approvals that allowed for the encroachment of the pools in the setback in this neighborhood. But it very well could be possible that the stormwater plan might shed some light on that.
Was the code the same for pools in 2004 as it is now with regard to the 15 feet or pools?
I would imagine so, since our land development code was established in 1996, and this subdivision was platted in 2002, and the permit for the pool was issued in 2004 or 2005.
Okay.
So I would imagine that it probably has remained the
setbacks
same.
For pools.
Well, just the setback in general.
Well, but were pools exempt from it?
The pools would still be subject to setback requirements because the pool would be considered an accessory structure to the principal use.
Even then?
Which is the home.
Okay.
I think that it's no wonder that they didn't close out the pool permit because it's over the setback line. But I don't think the county was as vigorous at enforcing the stormwater master plan for neighborhoods or the county as a whole until I think 2006 when we started having some major flooding issues that really shone a light on some of the problems. So it's entirely possible that this was permitted without there being any consideration to that neighborhood stormwater plan.
Can you help me on this resolve that? So the applicant's Exhibit A that they presented looks like an April 13th, 2020 request for a permit search, and it's for the listed address that's at issue here. It looks like they got a response from the county a day later, just under a day later, but the following business day, that says there are no open or expired permits at this time. How do we end up where the response is no if we have the open at that point pool one? Is there a reason why the permit clerk at the building department wouldn't know about the open pool permit? Is there some other process reason why they would have told them there's no open or expired permits at that time?
So there were a couple of reasons for that, I believe. I think that, for one, the building department does not hold any paper files over 10 years, so there could have been that. I think another reason is also the fact that the permit it expired 2 times, I found out. Yeah. And then the building department reissued the expired pool permit, and therefore, as you can see in some of the documentation, it was officially permitted in 2004. So
and they reopened it in between, I'm guessing, in between I don't know, the permit, you know when they re-upped the permit both times? It seems like this list would capture open and expired, but I can see if you reapply. But I guess my thought is right. If it's expired, it should fall in the expired basket, which would have been caught. If it was back open, it would have fallen in the open basket.
Right.
But what was the timeline on those? Were those outside of the 10 years as well?
Well, and that's the history that's a little bit confusing because the fact that it wasn't found that there were no open permits is odd because according to the property appraiser website, the pool permit was active and issued and re-permitted in November 20th, May 25th, 2005. So I'm not quite sure as to why the applicant received that email regarding no history or open information on the permitting. Yeah, that part's still a little.
Okay, fair enough.
You have something to add?
Yeah, actually, I was able to pull up the stormwater master stormwater plan for the development, and it clearly shows that the stormwater retention basins are located beneath the building footprint, so it's under structure retention. And the other interesting thing that I notice here is the rear has a 10-foot landscape buffer. Doesn't look like anybody has observed it based on the aerials, but the plans do show that it is required based on the approved development order plans.
It feels like that puts us in a difficult spot because what if we say no to this one on that? I mean, at that point, the equitable thing would be for the county to go out and say everyone's out of compliance with the.
Well, something that, looking at the photographs of the buildings, they're not elevated structures.
Yeah.
They're slap on grade.
And maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. It just feels like because of the way they've built all of this, like this lot sits like right in the middle of a group of them.
Yeah.
It seems like an issue that is larger than a one application.
Yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you regarding the permitting history. It was a bit of a puzzle.
Yeah, I get. That's
Is there any mention of it being, as the man talked about, where there was supposed to be the 15-foot setback would be stormwater on their property?
There are some swells shown in the road as far as the stormwater goes, but as far as on lot, the only thing that I'm seeing other than just a grading toward the road is the understructure retention.
So is it graded toward the road, not towards his property?
Oh, boy, let's see, there's 30 feet, let's see. It does look like,
He says that like the lots 1 through 7 go through his driveway. Their water is crossing his.
he says, I'm sorry, what did he say?
He said that the stormwater for lots 1 through 7 cross over his asphalt driveway.
Lives to the rear of this lot?
Well, he's in Mirasol Townhomes.
It does not appear that should be the case.
That's what the letter said.
They won't be able to pick up you talking unless you're up by the mic.
I just have a question. Well, if they wanted to, back in the area that this, I'm sorry, I can't recall the name, that the letter of objection came from, the area they were referencing, there was actually a concrete pad with they were using for outdoor cooking. Driveway, from her perspective, from her home. As she understood the location, what they were talking about. But she never noted any flooding or anything like that back.
Okay, thank you.
They'll be back here.
Yeah.
People would be back there behind
Well,
them.
the Mirasol Townhomes is this whole parcel here.
That's what I thought.
And then it's got a drainage and utility easement that separates their buildable area from
Now
this subdivision. So I think that, all of their water is actually going into that area and,
Is there a reason why the stormwater division of the county, I don't see any assessment by that department or the engineers in our package? Engineering department. Am I missing it?
Are you referring to the engineering review?
Yeah.
Have that letter,
On the
I
back of
believe that
Exhibit G.
is in there.
Right here.
number 7, that letter that we had before.
Back of exhibit.
G. It's right before H1.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I just now happen to see it.
Oh, okay.
Exhibit G from our engineering department. And they did not have any comments.
Interesting. Yeah, if the stormwater master plan called for the water to go under the structures and then they built slab on grade structures for all the houses, then one can assume that there is no stormwater for these homes in the neighborhood.
Still pointed in the other direction? I mean, are they still graded down towards the other way?
I mean, we don't have that information. There's no topography.
I do not have that information in front of me
feel
to
like that
confirm.
we should probably stick to the issue that was presented to us, which is the pool being in the setback, and let the county do their job with regard to stormwater compliance. I think that's probably our best path forward here. Right. I mean, this has brought up a lot more issues than just the pool, but
How do we make sure those issues are dealt with by the county? Is
Well,
there a way to try to ensure that?
I think Ms. Kelly and Ms. Ayanna are now aware of some things that they're going to need to look into a little bit further, and I think we focus on addressing the pool only.
Well, I mean,
That's what's before us.
Because it kind of feels like if we don't, then it's kind of to the detriment of the applicant. The broader picture becomes to their detriment, even though there's nothing we can do about it. So
Right.
to give them an equitable, fair, playing field, it's to consider the merits of what they've asked and stuff that's within our realm.
And also as far as what was advertised for this hearing.
Yeah, that too.
You guys have any more questions for Ayanna? All right, thank you. Ms. Beverly, you get the last word.
One for again.
Or was there anybody from the audience that wanted to talk?
Oh, I said I didn't find the second clear letter, but I can assure you there was one through McNeese title. But anyway, I did speak with the HOA president, and she went on to say that was really a grown-over area back there, that the owner eventually cut some things out. She said, it doesn't seem to be a drive or any usable area. The other question I had is that I was I have great sympathy for any problems they're having with water runoff. I've been a victim of that. We all have a little bit to some extent. But the letter that I read just said in a conversation with the developer, he told her that none of us were there. I don't know what was discussed and what he promised her. I couldn't find any records where there was any agreement to anything like that he would keep that area maintained for her.
Well, yeah, landscape buffer usually does end up looking like a pretty overgrown patch.
Yeah, I mean, even if they were to get in equipment, which obviously would affect more than one property owner, I think we were realizing that tonight, but it would just destroy the quiet area there, because I think they'd have to come in that way. That's so tight between those houses there.
You mean to be able to remove the pool and everything else?
That's that's what they told us our second.
Okay, thank
Way to
you.
clear this up. Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else in the audience that was for or against this? All right, motion to close public discussion.
Motion to close public discussion.
I'll second it.
Favor? Aye.
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 Have a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the requested variance for a 5-foot encroachment into the rear setback.
Attach the drawing for the pool. and
Yes.
Just for the affected area.
And attach the drawing of the pool for the affected area as well.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion. Start with you, Paul.
I'm good with the motion as it stands.
Same.
Nothing else to add?
Well, I do hope that the stormwater issues are able to be corrected, and you know, I may have presented that a condition of getting that variance would be to maybe restore the landscape buffer, which might do a little bit to fix the impervious surface area, but I think that it is for sure a hardship that this place has changed hands as many times as it has over the years, and the current owner is left holding the bag, and I think it's a credit to Ms. Langley that she's, you know, chasing down all this paperwork to try to get it resolved so that they don't have long-term problems. So,
I think that when you have a letter from the county stating that it was no open permits, I mean, that's a big deal for me. And then it's been there 20 years, and I think in a lot of, I mean, for a lot of crimes, there's a statute of limitations. I mean, like 20 years is a long time for a swimming pool to be sitting there and nobody complain. Sell it 4 or 5 times and still nobody complain. Nobody think nothing about it. And then just all of a sudden jump up and down about it. So I think there's a tremendous amount of hardship to just dump it on the last person holding the, like a game of musical chairs.
all right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Ms. Beverly, you got your variance.
My question would be about how the process to clear that open pool permit, that being the big obstacle in the chain of
Probably
title.
going to take us about 30 days to get the final order in hand and signed and back to you, and at that time, you'll be able to close the permit.
Would we pull another inspection, or how do we do that? I'd have to go back to
I'm not entirely
planning.
sure, but I think
I'll
this
learn a
is
little
the
more about this process.
lion's
for it.
share of the open permit has been dealt with tonight.
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
very much for your time.
Thanks.
It would still have to be closed out. Just
Yeah, but this was the thing that was preventing them from being able to close it
be able
out,
to
so.
close it out. It would be compliant now.
All right. Kimball Variance. VAR 2630. Reduce rear setback from 25 to 14.4. I didn't give them permission to go to the bathroom.
They took off.
All right, we're going to take a 10-minute break. Make that a 5-minute break. Right?
Ran for it.
I said, don't run back now.
I was trying to go quick, so there was no break.
I mean, I might as well take advantage of the break now.
Do a 5-minute break, all around.
Yeah, exactly. Normally, I don't know.
Dunlap and Shipman though. Both of them? Last one is for sure.
The engineering piece, I think, is important. It's, is this the retaining wall one?
There's more people.
Well, the engineers, the big deal too. Here.
Walton County Engineer.
There it is. Oh, no, that's not it. It's the floodplain guy. Keep going. After the fire one? Yeah. Yeah, so it's the one from Walton County Engineering, Wyatt Rockwell. That's the one I focus. Yeah.
There's a boatload of people left. Got a lot of support for it from these people.
So basically, the engineering department's like, leave it.
Definitely a waterfront property. There's lots of canals. Yep, canals.
I agree with that. Plus, like, you know,
Uh-huh.
Ricker Avenue. $250 Ricker Avenue.
That's on Point West.
It's in the Dogettes on one of the canals. Yes. Technically.
I mean, I don't see this until.
Dogettes is much more specific. They dug all those canals with a mule train.
No way.
Yep, so it's stair-stepped because the mules were here and the dredge was being towed by the mule. Yeah, right. I think that's gonna come up tonight. Yep.
Why are you gonna bring it up?
Yeah, if nobody else does.
Okay.
All right, is everybody ready to get rolling again? Who is presenting the Kimball variance this evening?
Good evening, everyone. Hunter Bell with Dunlap and Shipman on behalf of the applicant. So before we get started, actually, the applicant, Mr. Kimball, wanted to read a letter out to you guys, so if you wouldn't mind indulging him for just a moment. Mr. Kimball, if you want to come on up.
Hey, everybody. Good evening. We were here last month, so it's good to see y'all again. Appreciate the time. I've asked Dunlap and Shipman to help me just make sure everything's preserved in the record, so that's why I've asked them to be here tonight with me. And I'm going to try to stay focused, so I wrote this down and I don't lose my train of thought. You guys are making me nervous a little bit. So. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Adam Kimball. My wife Janelle and I are the owners of 250 Ricker Avenue. Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. We're asking the board to approve setback variances at the rear of our property and at the east side of our property. This is only for the limited purpose of bringing an existing seawall retaining wall into compliance and for no other reason. Before I get into the details, I just want the board to know who you're making the decision for. This is not an investment property or a vacation home. This is our family's full-time, long-term residence. We've lived in Walton County since April 2014. We have 5 children ranging in ages from 9 to 26. Our 2 oldest girls graduated from South Walton and Seacoast respectively. My son Asher goes to Westonwood Ranch up in Freeport, and we have 2, there he goes, there's Asher. Then we have 2 younger kiddos, 12 and 9. We're active in the community, we own a business, and this is home. The new house has been an important project for us, and we're excited to finally have a place where our entire family can fit, and where we can host our small group and friends, and be together. So every decision that we've made with this house is what the future here in mind. So what happened, before we began building our home, we constructed a dock and seawall system along the man-made upland cut canal on the north side of our lot. This included a secondary taller seawall as a part of that same construction effort that was built further inland. It's set back from the water's edge and to retain the steep grade on the property. At the time, I believe this inland seawall was considered part of the seawall and dock system as it was built by the same contractor, built to the correct standards, in the same phase of work before house construction started, and all under FDEP guidelines. It was present and visible at every phase of construction that followed, from foundation, framing, roofing, windows, and all else. There was never an attempt to hide it or add it in later. In addition, structures like ours are common throughout the canal system. This isn't an unusual or out of character structure. It matches what others have already built to manage the same grade condition and erosion that is common. It wasn't until our final inspection that the county called out the issue, that because the inland wall doesn't physically touch the water, it isn't classified as a seawall, even though it performs the same function of preventing the upland grade from falling down towards the water, and that wouldn't be covered on the FDEP certification. If this same wall was my understanding is if the same wall was 15 feet closer and on the water, it apparently wouldn't be an issue. That's what we learned. We needed a setback and for the variance, and so we immediately started that process. Why is this a hardship? The lots along this stretch of canal have a steep natural grade down to the water, some different than others, but it's steep natural grade. And beyond the stability it provides for our own yard and home, the wall provides significant erosion protection for the land along the canal itself. Without it, the steep grade would be exposed to ongoing soil erosion and runoff into the canal, which is a benefit not just to our property, but to the canal system as a whole. There are many examples of that deterioration throughout the canal system. This helps us in preventing future erosion and maintenance. This configuration also allows us to fully secure our pool. The secondary seawall sits inland. The fence runs along the top of it, fully securing our pool from access. Most of the homes along the canal are open to the canal itself, which makes the area behind the home accessible, technically accessible. Our layout closes that gap entirely, which we believe is a meaningful safety benefit and avoids potential safety or any legal issues. In addition, and most importantly for us, this creates a flat and accessible place within our property for our son, Asher. Asher has Williams syndrome, and the retaining wall makes it possible for him to safely use our backyard and the area around the pool. Without it, the natural slope down towards the canal would be steep enough to make that very difficult and really dangerous for him to navigate. So let me give you a little additional context here. Asher has Williams syndrome, and one of those things is he has a profound visual spatial, this is hard, I'm tongue-tied. He has visual spatial construction deficit and dorsal stream vulnerability. Those are big words, but the impact is what it means. It impacts how he maps out his physical environment in real time. It means he doesn't know where his body is in relation to the ground. For example, he can't gauge a distance of a step or a curb or even a crack, right? It's very difficult for him. He has poor balance even on normal ground, much less uneven ground. So the wall isn't just a structural convenience for us. It allows him to be outside with his family on his property. Lastly, removing the wall now really isn't a simple fix and isn't recommended. We did have Apex do an engineering evaluation of it. It is in the documents that were submitted. The pool and the home itself were built on top of the slope after the wall was already there. And so now, there's a reliance on that wall for that stability that it provides. Tearing it out risks destabilizing the grade beneath the pool and the home's foundation. It creates a real safety and structural risks where none exist today. The minimum variances we're asking for is what allows the wall to stay exactly where it already is, doing the job it's already safely doing. I have a few additional comments, just some notes here. First, both lots on either side of us are undeveloped. There's no current buildings or development being impacted in any way. Second, regarding the east corner lot, where we're asking for the 0 setback line, this really acts as a continuation of our fence line down towards the water at the property line, so it sits right with the fence. It secures the upper portion where the pool is. However, when this process started, meaning when I started to have to go through the variance process, we wanted to do some additional due diligence, and so we paid for a second independent survey. This brought to our attention that while the wall itself is on our property line, the 3 pilings on the right side are on my neighbor's property. Chris Perry, I don't know if you know him from CDP Stucco, but Chris is he's the owner of that lot. He's been incredibly supportive. He and I have reviewed the situation. We have a plan to move those 3 pilings, which is possible because they are not part of the structural integrity of the wall. There's no tiebacks. Everything else in front is tied back like it's supposed to be. Those are not, so they're easy. I've already got a quote to get those changed and moved, but I didn't want to do anything until we had this discussion.
Lot 12? Lot 12?
Yeah, it'd be to the east, yeah. And Chris has written a letter and is supportive of our request, which was put in there as well. And I'd also want to make sure I note here that our support isn't limited to Chris. I know you guys have received Jesus received a number of emails. He probably had an email box full of them. Hopefully you have those. And then we've got a whole room of people. Everybody back there is here to support this request. I guess from a little broader, just from a community standpoint, when this all kind of came about, it kind of seemed ridiculous to me, honestly. I understand the regulations, but from a broader perspective, this really needs to be something that we need to be thinking about for that canal system. There should be a pathway to this sort of solution back there. So I just hope that some of that maybe leads to a broader discussion. So in closing, to summarize, the wall's been in place since before the foundation was poured. It was through every phase of construction. It was there. It performs a genuine retaining function on a steep canal front lot and assists in erosion prevention and future maintenance issues. Our neighbors are supportive. Removing this wall now would or could create real structural risk to improvements that are already in place. In addition, it allows for our son Asher, who, for the reasons I previously mentioned, needs this to use our property safely. So we're just asking for the minimum variance to bring this existing functional safe seawall structure into compliance. No other reason. So I'm asking the board respectfully to approve the variance request. Like I said earlier, I've asked Dunlap and Shipman to just make sure that everything's preserved in the record for me. But before I hand off to them, I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Did you say you requested the upland retaining wall during all your original permitting efforts?
No.
So it was just the seawall with the dock down at the main high water line?
Yeah, none of that was all that was done before construction started. Yeah.
Okay, so that came as a later addition to create a flat spot for the pool and everything in the backyard?
Well, it came because I thought it was all part of that same seawall system. When I did that early because we were getting ready to start the house, and so we wanted to get that. Didn't want to disturb the whole construction process. There was access at that point, so we wanted to get the dock and seawall in.
Got it.
That answers your question.
Yeah, so if you'd have built it 12 foot tall at the water and then backfilled it, everything would be fine.
Correct. At least that's my understanding, but yes.
Okay, yeah. But you understand now why they're upset that there's an upland retaining wall in the bay shore protection setback?
I understand that it's past the 25-foot setback line, yeah.
I understand it's a man-made canal, and I actually think that because that periodically has to be dredged, that anything that the homeowners can do to prevent additional stormwater runoff from carrying dirt down into that channel would benefit you and everybody else. So I don't think that's the issue. My major concern is that in previous instances, this board hasn't been able to grant variances to the Bay Shore Protection Zone setback because it's in the comprehensive plan. Great.
I don't think it's in the Bay Shore setback, though.
Okay. That's really the biggest question that I have. Does anybody else have any more questions?
The dock appears to be over the property lines.
He addressed that. He's gonna fix it.
No, he was gonna fix, I thought he was gonna.
The pilings, yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna fix the encroachments on the neighbor.
I thought it was these.
No, these are fine.
Dock's over the water, though.
Yeah. Okay, so it was
property line ends
at the
the
three
water.
pilings that are part of the retaining wall. It's the 3 pilings that are on the dock.
No, it's the 3 pilings up higher.
So that they are the pilings for the wall.
The wall.
Got it.
On the east side, yeah.
There's a picture. Hold on. those those three pilings there, not on the dock. These three.
Correct, yeah.
So then the dock is actually over the line too, or is it connected with the other neighbors?
I don't know if we're going to give you a chance.
It's fine. I just have the answers you're looking for.
Okay. Go ahead and have a seat, and we'll give you the last word.
Again, Hunter Bell with Dunlap and Shipman on behalf of the applicant. I'm joined today, as you're aware, by Melissa Ward, AICP planner. Again, I'm going to go ahead and caveat this. I know we have talked about how to handle the books. I don't have an answer for you. I'm so sorry. One day we will figure out a way to get this to you.
We reject these books.
So this is including everything that was submitted with application, as well as some of our additional information, and pending no objection from the county, I'm going to go ahead and enter in as applicants A.
So, Hayward, do you have any objection to these being added to the record?
It'll just be considered a composite, tabs 1 through 16, composite Exhibit A for the applicant.
So entered.
So I'm going to make my part very brief so that y'all can get to the meat of the matter, aka Melissa. So right now, the main concern is this retaining wall is built into the setback area. What does that mean? What is it doing? Right now, it's operating as a twofold measure. First is that it's operating as a safe area where it's a level grade for Asher, for the Kimball son. It gives him the ability to use this property much like a similar situated individual using a wheelchair or something else that inhibits their ability to fully use a property that has a steep grade like this property did originally. The second measure that this is kind of being used to enhance this property is specifically for what you had referenced earlier about the dredging. So this is something that if you look at the engineering report from the county itself, they're talking about how this is advantageous to the property because it's actually helping diminish the erosion that goes in, really helping that man-made canal and limit the amount of runoff that goes into that actual water. So it's operating on a twofold plus is what I call it, is that on one hand, you've got the family societal impact of helping Asher use this property, but also it's great for the environment, specifically with this canal. So with that, I'm going to go ahead, now that I've done my job as an attorney, I'll come up later, and turn it over to Melissa to answer your questions.
Thank you.
Good evening, Melissa Ward with Dunlap and Shipman. I'm a certified planner, and we're helping Mr. Kimball and his family with this variance request. There's a packet that you received in the order of the tabs. The first item under tab 1 is Mr. Kimball's statement, which he read, making sure that gets into the record. The second, under the second tab, is the applicant's response to staff report that I prepared for them so that I can go over the items that are noted in the staff report. In the back of that, or the last 3 or 4 pages, there is a copy of the original survey of the property, and there is a copy of the Apex Engineering Group site wall as-built structural assessment, which we will refer to. Behind that, there's quite a bit of stuff that will likely the county will enter into evidence, which is the county staff report, the images, and tab 5 is the application. Tab 6 are the images in the picture, which you have in your packets already. Surveys. Under tab 8 are some review memos. The very last one, there's 2 pages under tab 8, and that's the engineering review memo that we would like to discuss. Tab 9 is quite a bit of evidence that was submitted as Exhibit F to the staff report, and it largely has to do with permitting. And then there, under tab 10, are public comments, all of which are positive and in favor of the variance. And behind that, we have sections of the code, which we put in every packet in case for some reason we have to go to court. But under tab 15 is speaking to the issue of dredge and fill, or dredge rather. Just last night, this is a copy of that agenda item, the Board of County Commissioners approved to reinstate or renew the MSBU that is collected to for the county to go in and routinely or periodically, routinely, however you want to say it, clear out those canals. This is Doggett subdivision, and they do that. They collect taxes, extra taxes for that, and it's because of this very reason. As you are aware, in Florida, largely, we have a pretty nice, stable walking area. We do not have hills and mountains, generally speaking. When you do a man-made subdivision, a man-made canal subdivision, in order to provide access to the bay for all of the residents in that subdivision in the 1950s, you might be cutting through some ridges. Right? You might be cutting through some areas that have elevations and without real regard on how to protect that man-made canal from runoff, and more importantly, how some of those lots may be higher than they would be otherwise, and so there's some steep areas. So this MSBU is something that the county is well aware of, and that does have a regular activity. And then in the back, under tab 16, is a more inclusive explanation on the condition of the Williams syndrome of Asher. So, first things.
What does that say?
That's the 39-foot building setback line. Been changed to 35.
What Hunter is holding here is the first survey. This was provided, and one of the things I just really want to point out is the if you're looking at the slope, the canal is here. This is the series of slopes where it drops 16 feet to 0, and then about 114 feet of that is undulating between 18 and 15 feet, and then it dropped down to 0. That's the slope difference. We're talking about a 16-foot drop that drops starting here to the 0 line. When they put in the seawall, which you heard testimony to, at the time that they put in the seawall, the same person doing that recommends that they have an upland retaining wall and says he can do it. Now, if somebody is paid to do a job, and we've had this discussion in front of this board before, I would ask you how a property owner, a homeowner, knows that they don't know that they should be doing something different. So this is how it got built before they even got their foundation permits and all of the stuff there. Somebody who is in the know and is a professional in the field told them what they were going to do or told them how to do it. So I just want to make sure that that is made aware. Thank you. So the findings of facts in the staff report, and this, let me commend the county staff for trying to doing an excellent job and trying to be very understanding. What it says in the staff's findings is that the requested variance does not appear to satisfy the minimum requirements under the Land Development Code. Interestingly, it also says the planning department is not opposed to the granting of the variance. Those are two juxtaposed positions. And what I find is only thing deficit in that report is the staff do not state why they are not opposed to it, not even suggestion of why they would not be opposed to it. So let me clarify those for you. Under item number 1, in particular, the granting of the variances shall be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the code. And the staff report says it's not. I would, however, respectfully disagree. In particular, he mentions the planner on staff mentions sections 50101 of the code under the purpose intent, where it specifically states that the provisions of the code are intended to ensure functional and attractive development, that's a quote, and to allow for flexibility in site design while ensuring compatibility of neighboring uses through design features. That's part of the code. The petitioner's upland retaining wall provides both safety and security that the area around the home and the pool would not degrade and shift down and slope down the 16-foot dropping slope to fall into the canal at the rear of the property. That's what the retaining wall is there to do. It's to protect all of that from falling down into it and also to provide that safety area. The natural grade of the lot per the survey consists of some undulating areas, which we talked about. And if you, in that report, I have a diagram. Now, I will tell you, I used ChatGPT to create this diagram. I did not find someone who would inexpensively provide me a diagram of that. So I did it through ChatGPT. I put in the surveys and asked them to create a side view and give the parameters of that. So this is not done by an engineer for clarity. It is representational only. It is in my report. The original slope of the land appears in, and this is on page 2 of 11 on that, giving that undulation in the beginning and then dropping off down into the water, to the water's edge. They built a seawall, which is a little bit above that 0 point, so at about 3 feet, and then they evened it out and the retaining wall is there, in order for that safety area to level that out for the appropriate use. The addition of the seawall at the water's edge via DEP permitting required the upland retaining wall as a support measure to ensure the forward part of the lot where the pool and the house were developed did not erode or cause erosion to slide down into the canal, thus supporting the intent that the neighborhood, one that shall use that man-made canal, is protected from that erosion, making it less necessary, if we could, to consider for them to dredge more. You know, it would slow down that dredging annually. In item number 1, the staff report states that the variance would not be injurious to the neighborhood. And in fact, in the engineering report attached to the staff report supports the variance because without the upland retaining wall, it would be injurious to the neighborhood if the seawall fails and the erosion from such a steep slope of stormwater runoff would harm the canal and its function. So there is supporting documentation as to why this is in harmony with the intent of the code. Number 2, the granting of the variance will not permit the established use that is not permitted in the land use district, in which I agree with the staff report. It doesn't do that. It's residential preservation. It's a single family home, and the variance doesn't have any impact on that. Number 3, there must be proof of unique circumstances. And the staff report provides that the applicant is required to submit proof of existing unique circumstances, and then states that they, I'll go back to that. And so the report includes the sections of the code where they were using relevant code sections to support their opinion. They did not provide an opinion as to why they did not think it was a unique circumstance. The sections of the code that were mentioned in the planning report were section 4.0303, restrictions on development within the shoreline protection zone. You were making reference to the Bay Shore shoreline protection zone, which is a 50-foot buffer. This is not a bay shore, it is a man-made canal, and specifically under that section of the code, it says, and I quote, man-made canals and ditches are specifically excluded from this definition, and such features shall be subject to a 25-foot setback requirement only. That is not a buffer, it's just a setback.
So does that also include the swimming pool?
The pool is not within the 25-foot setback.
I understand that, but how do you come up with the setback for the pool?
So measuring from the edge of the property along where the canal is, moving in 25 feet, that is the setback.
Including the pool?
It would.
The rear setback from the mean high water line is only 25 feet on this lot?
That is correct. So their requested variance, according to the application, is to reduce that rear setback from 25 feet to being 14.4 feet for the retaining wall to remain as it was constructed. And again, the specifics of this application is just to allow the retaining wall to remain. This is not a structural above ground setback variance above the level of that retaining wall. So if the question is whether or not they would increase the size of the swimming pool or put another building back there, that is not what they're asking for. The next section that was mentioned in the planner staff report was section 5.00.02 regarding minimum lot requirements. Now, he referenced this section, quoting, "All development shall have a total land area sufficient to meet design standards, including but not limited to," and includes setbacks and buffers. I think that the intent there was to say that there should be enough land area, and there is. But the language relates to minimum lot requirements when you're developing a subdivision, not whether or not your building setbacks are applicable to your property. And so that I didn't find that this was, I only mention it because it was mentioned in the staff report. This is not applicable necessarily to this particular request. The next one he mentions is 5.0003 building setback requirements, which we do agree to. That's why we're here. We have a setback requirement. But I would also say that the setback on the side is the one of importance on this particular section of the code. It's a side setback to 0 because that retaining wall goes all the way to the property line, which follows that down. Interestingly enough, if you refer to that engineering memo, they mention the fact that they like to see at least 2 feet. But in this case, they think this is a good solution, and they support that. So I would just want to, in a moment, we're going to want to talk about that.
You're talking about Public Works.
I am, yes, the engineering department. Further into the staff report, as other supportive documentation, the planner presents definitions out of the glossary, and I would note that there's no argument that the definitions are applicable, that this is a structure and that the structures have to meet setbacks. So I understand the supporting documentation. But I reiterate that in no way does he speculate or even discuss how he feels like the land itself does not have any kind of unique circumstances. The land at the front of the lot, as we talked, has a undulating difference in the beginning, about 16, 18 feet, and then it drops down to that 0 at that about 114 feet. So this was important, I think, to mention about people being able to traverse their property. There is an area that is where they can build the house, and there was area where they could have the dock out. And we have some images to give you kind of a better understanding, but when you stand on the back porch and you look out, what you see is the top of the boathouse. Now, what I'm asking you to consider is if you can stand on your back porch and see the top of a boathouse, if you're inside and somebody, because I don't know if you caught that his family lives, not just his children, but his parents live there. If somebody was going somewhere, would you see them at the bottom of the slope if something were to happen, or see one of your children fall or slide down? This is a steep slope, and we have some images. It's important to know that what we're talking about is safety. The engineering comments state that they support the requested variance, and I use that word in my terminology, not theirs. I'm sure what they're saying is we don't object, so that's different. Because it provides necessary stabilization for the rear of the property and mitigating erosion and reinforcing the slope during routine rainfall as well as more significant storm events. So I think that has to play a part in the fact that it is important, not just the safety of the people inside the house to utilize their property, but in addition to that, to control and reduce as much as possible any runoff into the canal. So again, there are unique circumstances to this property.
I'm going to pass these out to y'all. Procedurally, these were already entered in with the clerk whenever we entered in our composite exhibit. These are just for your reference.
On page 6 of our report, I attempted to, again, use ChatGPT to give you an idea of what this looks like from a side view. And so that side view of lot 13.5 in the middle of page 6 is essentially what it would look like, or what it does. Those pictures will show you the slope. There are included in those pictures is a picture of the applicant standing at the bottom of the slope next to one of the pilings. That's part of the supporting seawall. There is a picture of him stepping off of the area. That's the one. I did not go down there because I was afraid I wouldn't get back up. I'm not even kidding. I'm not as agile as I used to be. It's significant.
How do you get down there?
That's the picture there of him getting down there.
You don't have steps to get to the
Well, they
boat
don't
house?
now. They stopped everything until a variant to see if the variance gets approved.
Plan to have?
It would be a shock to me that they wouldn't plan to put steps down to at least to get down there safely. Like, you're not going to use the boat.
I mean, like a ramp or
Zip
steps
tie.
or, I mean, like, would those also affect what? So you're getting a permit for this wall, and if the steps go down further, or if it's a ramp going down further.
So for all properties that abut on that front on the water, there is typically some leeway for access purposes. So even if it was a landscape buffer, you could use about 10-foot swath to put down steps or a boardwalk to get to your water access.
Count as the encroachment?
I don't believe so, but that is a good question to ask your staff. I believe that the code allows it. It always has.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a boardwalk access.
Boardwalk,
That's
steps,
part of that.
path, something that's safe for everybody to traverse, yes. On page 7 of 11, we've included at the top a picture of when they were installing the retaining wall and what there's a purpose for that. One of them is the tieback system that you see there. And the other is that there's nothing else going on, so this was pre-foundation, pre-permit, pre-building, and that speaks to the fact that, though he believed he was doing what he was supposed to be doing based on the permits that the guy had pulled to put in a seawall, this was before all of that. And I only say that to say there were several inspections on this property multiple times, what I can't ascertain is when they actually decided that this needed to have a variance or when they decided this needed to have that activity when there were multiple applications. What I have been able to discern is that when they submitted for the applications, the seawall showed up at another stage, and so the retaining wall. And so at some point, throughout part of the beginning stages, it wasn't surveyed, it wasn't put on there. And because people who are doing the permitting don't verify information with the applicant sometimes, I think what we have here is that people are doing their job because they got a checklist to get done and they submit the application, but when do they realize this is there and that they should have had that done, and who tells the applicant that information? I think that's there's a lot of stuff going on here, because I did find out today that they had a foundation survey done before they went vertical, but the building permit process, they don't turn it in until they need a new inspection, and that inspection is a structural inspection, not a foundation inspection. And I think that's another factor to where this is of no information. The applicant wouldn't know that information. It's a process thing, and we do need to find ways to kind of clean that up a little. That's just a side note, my apology. So the proof, I apologize. I want to go back to make sure I answered all the questions. We were discussing the proof of unnecessary hardship. We talked about the land having unique circumstances. I believe that, and I think it's necessary to note that in the record. The unnecessary hardship. It is noted that this is a problem that occurred because somebody was going through the process of getting it permitted, and the other people didn't talk to each other. Normally, when we talk about it being self-created, it's something that it is like we recognize that this is something that the applicant worked with a professional to do. And the question of self-created problem is the process of when that should have happened. He still would have had to ask for a retaining wall because he still needed the safety for the property. And given that the 25 feet might not have given him the depth he wanted, he still might have come to you for a variance before he installed it, but it's just backwards now. It's not I built into a setback of a giant house, I don't want to tear it down, although there's a factor there. I would have had to create as much level property as possible for the safety of my family. I would have asked for it anyway if I didn't get it, building it at 25 feet. So there's a factor there.
The professional contractor was the one that should have asked for
I agree.
the variance. He should have known before he built a retaining wall and did a 25-foot setback.
I agree. 1,000% I agree.
Are we protecting the name of the contractor?
I don't know who it is. What we talked about in this, and because let me say this, and it seems a little weird, maybe even. We were all here for the last hearing. I was here for Doty and Commodore variances, and Mr. Kimball's here for his, obviously. I didn't know him and whatever. When this was continued, because there was only 4 people, everybody was outside talking. And I was curious because I looked at his stuff online real quick, and so I just asked him about it, and we had a conversation about it. Field was there, a few other people that I know, and said, oh, well, this might be helpful. And the truth is, I said, if you need help documenting your variance so that for your best effort, we're glad to help you. That's how I got involved. I got a big mouth and I jumped right in. But what I'm trying to say is that I do believe this is probably one of the few that I have in my time when I worked for the county and always wrote no staff reports, no, it doesn't mean it, no, it doesn't mean it. And the time after, all the people I try to help, I really do try to help them in the understanding that they need it. In this case, this is probably one of the strongest ones, in my opinion, because you have so many factors. You have the fact that it is bad for the canal. You have the fact that it was a mistake, that it was on the burden of the professional.
Yeah, I think we understand that. I was just commenting on your one point, not the whole.
I'm sorry.
Not the whole presentation.
Yeah, I apologize.
Just the one point about, how you were saying that, the process was flawed or is flawed, but there's also an obligation by the person who hires the contractor. They're a team now.
Yes.
And when you say, the person that hires the contractor, it's not their fault. Well, it's the team, it's the contractor and the person that hires the contractor who are now in it together.
Yes.
And the contractor put that retaining wall inside a setback.
Yes, I agree with you. I do. The
team put it inside.
Absolutely.
A setback.
There was a builder, there was a designer for the stormwater, there was a guy.
So just that one point. The rest of it, I'm with you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And my biggest point about the processes is that we have, for 20 years, asked for surveys for foundations.
I agree with you.
Okay. All right. So we're 1 for 1. I got it. So I do, making sure we get on the record that there is a proof of unnecessary hardship. And I only want to focus just a moment on this to say that I do believe we stated part of the problems that the land itself is unique and that the hardship is about whether or not it's safe. It's safe and whether or not it's going to run off into the canal. And so there are other things that we could discuss at length, but I'm sure you're tired of hearing me. So the evidence of that and the report is in the record to speak to that. The granting of the variance is necessary for the reasonable use of the land, and I believe that it is because, again, the diminishment of that is effective on anybody who would live on that property because that slope is significant. And that the variance does not impair light, adequate air, and so forth, or increase congestion. All of those we know are not of issue here, and that it will not confer the applicant any special privilege where the staff report says that it kind of would. I don't think that it does because the granting of the variance to allow for them to keep the retaining wall as it was constructed will provide the protection from erosion, runoff in the canal, all of that. All of the things that people on property that don't have that steep slope would not need in the first place. So it's relative to the circumstances of the land. And for that, I think I am done unless you have any questions other than we would want to have Chance Powell come up and talk about their engineering memo.
I have one question.
Yes.
On some of the documents, there was a 35-foot setback, a 25-foot set. You had said that the setback was 25 foot. On one Volcker survey, it said 35 foot.
Yes.
And one Volcker survey, it said 39 foot.
Yeah, so.
Was using a shallow lot of record provision for a
That's right,
bayshore
for bayshore
protection
line.
setback.
And again,
I
that
have-
was another factor, part of the team. He switched surveyors. He was using one, it was
But we're-
question, and he switched over to Interlight, who corrected it.
Our variance is from the setback line, so I mean, like that, we're sure it's gonna be the 25.
It's the 25 feet.
Yeah, in
And,
chapter 4 of the Land Development Code, it specifically excludes the man-made canal and states that it is a 25-foot setback.
And so let me, for the record, this is the most up-to-date survey. This is done by Interlight. It is in your packet under, that we submitted, and it's also on your staff report. It's under tab 7, the second survey. And for clarity, it does provide where the seawall is and the boat dock entrance, where the retaining wall is, and the 3 on the side that are questioned about removing those, and provides the whole thing. And the setback is directly from chapter 40003.
What about the dock being over on the sides, the dock?
Are you talking about this?
Yeah.
Yes.
And this right there? Oh, well, honestly, that was not a part of the request, and I didn't even look at it. I'll be fair about that.
I mean, like, they're over the property line.
Yeah, I see that. I suppose the question would be,
Does it connect to the neighbors? Well,
if
there was
it's
no-
the
no-
top of it and could be cut off, if it's in that, or if it's connected to something else. I don't know the structure of it. I apologize.
Relevant to our variance?
Yeah, I think, again, let's focus on the setback for the upland retaining wall.
Doesn't look accurate.
The survey,
Yeah, the roof.
well, this is what they're showing being over.
Yes,
Both
it's-
surveys are showing the ends of the,
It's not the roof, it's the actual dock itself.
It's the platform.
Yeah, the wooden, that wooden part was over the line.
Yeah.
The roof is much more center. Yeah, it's not. It's the platform.
Platform that's over the line.
Yeah.
That part of what we're looking at.
It's not a part of the application. Everybody that is his surrounding property owners is in favor of it. It wasn't, I will say, however, I don't believe it was advertised about the dock.
It could be an issue.
thank you, Melissa. Let's
Thank
have Jesus come up and get the staff report in the record.
All right, this is the Kimball variance request to approve by final order, project number VAR 26000030 is being reviewed by myself. This is a variance application submitted by Adam Kimball requesting a variance to reduce the rear setback from 25 feet to 14.4 feet and the east side setback from 7.5 feet to 0 feet for a retaining wall on 0.258 plus or minus acres with a future land use of residential and zoning category of residential preservation. The property is located in District 5 at 250 Ricker Ave and is identified by the parcel ID in the staff report. May I enter the public comments and staff report into the record?
Please, thank you.
Just some things I want to note as were previously stated, and that's a little bit of the history behind this. So the history with this parcel starts with BPR 24-002217 for a single-family home, which was approved in November 16th of 2024. That BPR approval is in the staff report, which does not show the retaining wall. A single-family home was built on said parcel on January 30th of 2025, and then after that, BPR 25-003943 for a residential pool was approved on August 5th, 2025. As of now, BPR 26-000751 is capturing the updated site plan with the addition of a dock, seawall, and a retaining wall. This BPR is currently on hold pending the outcome of this variance. Something else I do want to just provide a little bit of clarity in terms of language within the Land Development Code. So section 4.03.03 restrictions on development within the shoreline protection zone. I've underlined in bold man-made canals and ditches are specifically excluded from this definition, and such features shall be subject to a 25-foot setback requirement only. The other mention that I want to make is specifically to the stormwater. While there is an exception that the engineering department has noted for the retaining wall, if you look at the original BPR, the stormwater system for that had already been approved. Therefore, the planning department does not recognize this retaining wall as a part of the stormwater system, due to the fact that that had already previously been approved. Any questions for me?
Anybody have any questions? I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Chance Powell here? Chance, come on up and speak a little bit about this situation.
Thank you, Jeff. Board, Chance
Been
Powell,
sworn in?
Walton County Engineer. I was going to tell you I have not been sworn in.
You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Thank you. So let me give you a little bit of history about myself. Prior in my career, early in my career, I obtained the permits to maintenance dredge the Doggett Canal. It took me about 7 years to do that. They were dredged originally, I believe, in 1958, and they had not been, I guess, legally dredged up till 2003. There might have been some dredging that took place, but to permit it legally was done in 2003 is when we started. I believe that permit was acquired in maybe 2009. Through that, I recognized that the stability and the longevity of those canals are dependent on their shoreline protection, their shoreline stability. You made a comment earlier about within the 50-foot shoreline protection of the bay, a seawall is allowed within that. Very rarely do we have on Chattahoochee Bay property with 16 foot of grade change within 20 feet of the shoreline. Most of them are 5 foot or less. I can understand that when Mr. Kimball built this property and his dock builder came out, instead of building a 16-foot high seawall touching the water's edge, they staggered that into two wall system, which as an engineer myself, I would much rather design a retaining wall that's a tiered system as opposed to one wall that's 16 foot tall. I kind of understand why that happened. Also understand why it happened. If you ride up and down that canal, there are many, many systems that look exactly like this on that canal system. And I believe that it's probably necessary for the stability of the canal system. I wanted to mention that I've also had a discussion with Stephen Schoen, with the planning department, and with my staff that we can work on some language to modify in the land development code that would separate the canal system, upland cut canals, separate from your standard shoreline protection of the Chattahoochee Bay or coastal dune lakes or other waterways that we have in the bay or in the county. But mentioning all that, if you guys have any questions specifically for me, I'd be glad to answer them.
Yeah, I was mentioning to some people that the original canals were dredged with a mule team, and they stair-stepped to allow the mule team to get closer and closer to the part that's now the water channel. And so there was already sort of a natural stair-stepping of that canal system, depending on what side the mule team was on. And so it seems to be in character with the original topography that was created back in 1958.
I mean, if you look at the canal systems throughout the state that are upland cut canals, a lot of them in South Florida, they're all protected by, you know, man-made structures, walls, but even down there, you don't see many that have a 16-foot grade change within 20 feet of the water's edge. But if y'all have any other questions, I'm glad to answer them. And Melissa, was there anything else that you like for me to comment on? Okay.
Yeah, you think this is a good thing?
Well, I do. I think it's a good thing. And I, since you said that, I just thought of something else that I wanted to mention is that the retaining wall language that's in the Land Development Code, I even helped it draft some of that. And mostly what we were talking about when we were looking at it was retaining walls along side yard lines between houses. And specifically on bayfront areas, I'm going to take Driftwood Point, for instance. A lot of that area at Driftwood, there's nothing out there over 4 or 5 feet high. Everybody's raising their homes, building retaining walls, and the retaining walls on the sides of the houses, if there is a storm surge that comes in and everybody along the shoreline has built up and connected their field area with their house and the next house and the next house, you create a dike all the way around the perimeter of that. It's very hard for the storm surge to exit back out into the bay once the surge recedes. So there was a setback that we asked for those retaining walls to leave basically like flow areas for any storm surge that came in could get back out easily. And if a wall failed, it would fail on the property that it was built on, not on an adjacent property. In this case, along this upland cut canal, setting back that upland retaining wall from the neighbor is going to provide an unsecured area in between two homes for there to be washing and an erosion issue. And now you're going to have an erosion issue that's owned by two different people. It's going to be more difficult to maintain and repair and fix, you know. So I believe those walls need to be connected to provide a continuous system of stability along the canal, as opposed to separate them by 2 or 3 feet where you can have an issue at the lot line between two properties. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that.
And it is in flood zone X.
Yeah.
And there's no Limwa line.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
Thank you, Chance.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Is there anybody else that wants to speak in favor or against? All right. We'll give you guys the last word.
So I think everyone here is pretty much on the same page of where we stand from an environmental perspective of what is the good that this retaining wall can actually do for it. So right now it's focusing on the 4 elements of the staff report that the planning department said, all right, these are the reasons why we can't grant the variance because it is in violation of the Land Development Code. However, I would like, sorry, I thought somebody said something. But I do want to draw everyone's attention to the fact that the staff report also states they're not opposed to this variance. You just heard from Chance with county engineering saying that this is something arguably that is good, specifically from an environmental standpoint. So out of those 4 factors that you're left to consider or whether or not to grant for a variance, is it in harmony with the Land Development Code? Yes, from an environmental perspective, because it's helping with this specific man-made canal with dredging, runoff, erosion, etc. The second is that, are there special circumstances that are particular to this property? Yes. Chance just talked to you about that 16-foot grade, where that's something where it's specifically impacting this specific property. It's a special circumstance. Third being, what is the hardship if this variance is not granted? Why do they need the variance? You've heard from an environmental perspective where you have to then move that retaining wall to where it's outside of the setback. You've got the engineering report from Apex stating where that's essentially tantamount to economic waste. I know that there's case law on that I can't give you the pinpoint side on that at least. But it's something where it's not necessarily a consideration for you to look at when granting a variance, but it's something where you have someone who gives you the option of fixing something for a variance. We don't really have that in this case, where they can't move that retaining wall without potentially damaging the foundation of the house. So then the fourth and final one is this granting a special privilege? No. Chance just told you, you drive up and down that canal, you see the same tiered system on a lot of properties, and some that don't have it that probably should. So that's where I'm wrapping up, where those are the 4 factors that are in dispute today, and you've actually heard the evidence on the record of why the variance itself should be granted. So with that, unless I've got questions for me.
you have any objection to it just being tied specifically to the seawall or the retaining wall? I mean, the variance as it reads, it would just be, like if you just granted it as it read, it would be, they could build anything they wanted to in that footprint. I mean, like.
So if you're asking about any objection to just as it's read, no.
I mean, like, what I was saying, are you objecting to, or do you have any objection against us limiting the encroachments to just for the seawall?
Or to a retaining wall. Not a
No,
retaining
no
wall.
objection to that. My understanding is that they don't intend to build anything within that area because of that buffer. So no objection to limiting it just to the retaining wall.
That sliver.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, motion to close public
Motion.
discussion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the variance to reduce the rear setback from 25 feet to 14.4 feet and the east side setback from 7.5 feet to 0 feet for a retaining wall. And I think we're going to limit the granting of the variance to just accommodate the existing retaining wall.
On the inner light survey?
That
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
On the inner light survey?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Charlie? All right, discussion.
I think there's a ton of support for it from the neighborhood. I think it's an old seawall. I think that the retaining walls benefits everybody out there more than it hurts anybody.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing all the way around as far as like environmental aspect of chances in favor of it. And I don't think it would be a bad thing.
I have no problem with the retaining wall. I guess my problem is we're asking again, asking for forgiveness.
Yeah, we never did get the name of that contractor.
Ever. Yeah, I'm in favor of it. I mean, I think the engineering report is dispositive of the outcome of this matter. I think it's beneficial to the community, their neighbors, and everyone else around it. And I think equally as important is it will permit the safe use and enjoyment of the property for their son. So I think those three line up with our aims and goals, and so I'm in favor of it.
Yeah, I'm in favor, remarkably. I am in favor. I think that I agree with all of the points. I just have, my consistent concern with, these things coming to us after the fact. I would have gladly granted the variance before the retaining wall was built.
Great point. I also thought it was interesting that it was brought up tonight that the county is going to be updating the language in the land development code to address these upland retaining walls, which we have, I think, been pretty consistently granting variances for throughout the county as a benefit to actually protecting our shoreline as opposed to hurting it. And I understand why the county can't approve this because the language isn't in there currently. I just wanted to point out that there is nobody of the adjacent property owners that has spoken out against it. And with that, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you got your variance. Commodore's Retreat Owners Association. Good night. Good night. Thank you. See you, Chance. Thanks for your help.
I was just wondering.
He did a great job, but yeah.
Ironwood,
I've had
thanks.
conversations with all of them.
Appreciate it.
Like, same,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
won't happen again.
Right.
Oh, no, we're definitely not going to take that one.
You know, one day I'll come up with a joke. I don't have one.
Number 9.
Yep. Commodore's Retreat. Chair feels like it has a seat heater in it. It's trying to push you out of the room. Man. Yeah. Oh, man. How are we supposed to read all that?
Come on now. Hey. I'm better with this packet over.
Listen, I told y'all I'll come up with a remedy one day. Today's not that day.
I want my objection on the record that we do not have time to read this.
There's a 5-minute opening limit on presentation. 3 minutes for rebuttal and 2 for reply. 5 and 5 each side.
Oh, man. This one's going to be super fast.
Got it.
I suggest you keep it super short.
Listen, I would like it noted, I'm not the long-winded one out of this team. I would like that on the record, first and foremost.
Oh, come on.
Hunter Bell on behalf of Dunlap and Shipman, on behalf of the applicant, Commodore's Retreat Condominium Association. I'm joined today by Melissa Ward, AICP planner, which you're all familiar with. I go ahead and enter the composite exhibit in as applicant's exhibit A, pending no objection from the county. Oh, perfect. So this was actually scheduled for the last variance hearing. We continue due to the low number. So 1985 is when Commodore's Retreat came into existence as a condominium association. At that point, whenever the condominium association or the condominium itself was built, it had a pool on the right off the road. You'll see in the map, you've got quite a few tabs in this book, as I'm sure you can tell. But you've got site photos under tab 11. And that shows you where exactly we're talking about when we're talking about this pool.
Was the pool permitted?
Yes, it's been permitted.
And they got the permit was closed out?
Yes. So
at the time it was built, it met the requirements of the Land Development Code?
Yes, it did.
And all they want to do is put it back in the same exact place?
Yes, they're having to rebuild. It's an above-ground pool that for years now they have been repairing it, spot repairing it here and there. Now they're having to replace it with the same exact pool, same exact location.
Yeah, well, it's a gunite pool.
It's just above grade.
Okay.
So that's what we're here for. SparkNote's version is they have had this since 1985. The whole reason we're here from a legal perspective is under Chapter 718, the Condominium Act, is that you have something that is a material change to a property, moving this pool, that impacts itself as a material change. Unlike homeowners associations, condominium associations, each individual unit owner has a proportionate ownership interest in this pool. It's not owned by the association itself. Each individual unit owner has a 1/24th or 1/27th, I forget the specific number of units. They have that proportional interest in the pool. All we're asking for is a variance to reduce the setback to what is applicable, the minimum amount that we can do to get this pool rebuilt in the exact same location, same dimensions. So with that, turning over to Melissa, someone please clock how short that was.
Very briefly, item number 1, specifically, is it in harmony with the code? Yes, it's been there forever. We should not have to change it if we've had it this long. It's not bothering anybody. No, that's not the actual. It is, however, in harmony with the code for 2 reasons. The property is on the Gulf, and it doesn't have another place where you can put that pool. And because they are required to have it under the Florida statute based on what their ownership is, it's a required amenity.
So they can't get a DEP permit to replace the pool, which would be considered a major structure. Because they can't get a county
because of the
consistency
CCCL
letter.
and CPZ line. They can't go further south.
Got it.
And I will make one tiny correction. Currently, the pool is just a skosh over the property line. There was an easement trade-off in the 80s and 90s with the people next door. It is being fully put onto our property line, but right at the line, very close, according to the variance.
But the shell of the pool is going to remain.
The shell's
exact
always been
same
inside.
position.
It's the decking stuff that's always been a little over. Yeah. So essentially, I mean, we can go through all the steps so we get it on the record. It is, however, in the evidence packet under tab 1 for our variance request. I guess it's actually tab 2. And goes through the language of it, talks about the permitting, talks about the swimming pool, talks about how long it's been permitted and all the reviews and stuff that they've had and so forth. What happened is it's damaged to the extent that it needs to be replaced. We went in for a development order. In truth, the previous director had given us the pre-application stating that it was consistent with a continuation of a nonconformity. However, when you destroy it over 50%, I think he misunderstood what we were doing. We're taking it out and putting a new one in. And so when you destroy it over 50%, you have to have a variance. Summary complete, unless you have questions.
But they're not going to be expanding the nonconformity.
They are not.
And there's nowhere else on the site to put it.
There is not.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Melissa?
The new one's still raised?
It is.
The new one's going to be raised just like this one?
It is.
Same altitude?
It's virtually the same thing, just new.
Got it.
Yep. You're welcome.
Ayanna? You are on this one, right?
I will be reviewing this on behalf of Bridget Clements. So this is the Commodore's Retreat Owners Association variance, project number VAR 26000032. Yes, it does state that I'm reviewing it, but the staff report states that I'm reviewing it on her behalf. This is a variance application submitted by Dunlap and Shipman, PA, on behalf of the Commodore's Retreat Owners Association, Inc., requesting a variance from section 5.00.03, specifically 5.00.03A, table 5.1 of the Walton County Land Development Code. The request seeks to reduce the side setback from 15 feet to 0 feet and the front setback from 20 feet to 1.81 feet for a replacement pool on 1.83 plus or minus acres with a future land use of residential in a zoning category of neighborhood infill. Property is in District 5 at 561 Eastern Lake Road is identified by the parcel number in your staff report. May I enter the staff report into the record? I believe the applicant summarized everything pretty well. So do you have any questions for me?
Well, besides the obvious standard stuff, is there anything about this that you guys have concerns about other than it's, non-conforming? Is there something that we're not seeing with stormwater or easements, right-of-way protection zone, or any of that stuff?
So I did not review this extensively because this was not originally my project, but based on what I'm seeing in the staff report, let's see. Project manager did speak to hardship relief, expansion of a non-conforming use. Request appears to have been self-created and the application appears to lack proof of unnecessary hardship. Besides that, I'm not seeing anything in here that would be a super concern, at least in my point of view, besides the mentioning of the non-conforming uses and non-complying structures that is stated in the staff report.
They're not supposed to be expanding the nonconformity, though.
They are not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's, if they were, I think that would be of concern.
Right.
As long as they're staying in the exact same place, it's basically a repair and replace permit.
Exactly. And I believe the project manager placed that in there as additional information as far as findings of fact that the board should take into consideration. But from what I'm seeing, it does not expand on any nonconformities.
Yeah, and the Walton County Engineering Department's memo and review talks about some of these issues in terms of the impact to the right-of-way. And it says that, there's no adjacent, it's not adjacent to an access easement.
Right.
And it talks about other factors where all those considerations may or may not have been in place, 40 years ago, but they don't see any impact. And when you read it, it seems as if they don't have any objection.
That is correct.
And just to verify, that it was permitted by the county when it was built originally?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Anybody have anything else?
I would say that was not.
It's self-created in that they want to tear it out and replace it instead of letting it keep leaking. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you guys want to add anything before we close public discussion? I would prefer not.
Motion to close public discussion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Who wants to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the variance as requested.
I will second that motion.
Discussion?
I'll amend it.
You wanna amend
I
it?
want to amend it to where the pool not be increased. I mean, like anything.
I think that's exactly how it should read. That provided they do not increase the nonconformity, that the pool and the pool deck be reconstructed in their current position.
Yeah, they can
per the survey.
fix the encroachment.
They're actually making it better inside the property
say
line.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's not the exact same location.
inside the property line, but yeah, they can get it up, put it back on their side, but not make it bigger.
The way to say that would be right. No increase to the non-conforming use, because putting it in the property line would stay under that. So I think that'd be the best way to say it.
Yeah, I think
It's
the way
smaller.
you have it, you would grant the variance request, condition that there is no increase to the nonconformity. I mean, the issue with it being over property line, that's kind of a private matter.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't give them a variance to put stuff on other people's property.
And they're not. They're going to cure that, but they had the right.
But they'll have their box to build in.
I will second the amended motion.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
I don't think we have any meeting
Very much.
minutes, do we?
Motion to approve the minutes.
I don't think we
Are there
have any.
meeting minutes in here?
I don't know.
No meeting minutes. Motion to adjourn.
Motion
Hang
to
on, man.
Wow. What else are we supposed to do?
All right. Yep. Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn. Second. All in favor?
Aye.